Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Discordant Dragons. This is the 225th installment of this stream. Good Lord, I've been doing this a long time. I have some good friends I've made along the way, and 3 of those friends are on the guest list tonight. So I don't have anything to announce other than tomorrow I will probably be doing a chill gaming stream in the late afternoon, early evening Eastern time. I think I might showcase Warframe tomorrow for my followers because Warframe is very interesting and fun, and I've been playing it a lot lately. So I might showcase that tomorrow instead of a retro game. We will see. But I don't have anything else to announce. Everything else is normal. I'll be having Discordant Dragons next week as well. So let's go ahead and without further ado, bring on the featured guest of the evening, the one, the only, the wizard, Uzalu. Welcome back, sir. It's been a while.
Hello. My goodness, I wasn't expecting to be the feature.
Well, how could you not be, honestly?
I suppose so, yes. Don't feed my ego. Yes, that's dangerous.
Well, speaking of feeding ego and people who are dangerous, neither of those things apply to Aydin Paladin. Welcome aboard, madam.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me back.
She is a feeder, though.
I didn't get you a pizza last night, despite you attempting.
You very nearly did.
All right, and rounding out the panel tonight is Carnal Conservative, one of my oldest friends in this thing of ours. Welcome back, Carnal.
This is our thing, yes. This is our thing. If those of you who get the joke, get the joke.
Carnal and I have known each other for about 10 years. We met in, I believe, Sargon's Liberalist Facebook group back in 2015 or 2016, right?
Oh my God, what a blast in the past.
Yeah, right?
Like me. We have been steadily radicalizing the entire sphere for quite a long time.
Look what Ginger just said in the chat here. Ginger said, I swear that she said, welcome back to disappointing dragons. No, my dragons are far from disappointing tonight. You will like all of them. Since Uzalu's here, I rolled out some of my best dragon art. So the dragons tonight will be good. That's right, Empire. The gang is back. All right, so hopefully everybody present knows how it works. The way I will go over it again because Uzalu hasn't been here in a while. The way it works is I pick a party leader each week, and the party leader decides which dragon we face first, or can nominate a party member to make the choice of the dragon. Why does that matter? Well, whenever I get done showcasing a video or reading a piece of an article, I will ask the dragon's question, and whoever chose the dragon is the first one who has to answer the question before it opens up to general discourse, and the rest of the panel can answer the dragon. So, what are the dragon questions tonight, you might ask? Well, they are as follows. The red dragon has the arms trade question. The green dragon has, should the gay stay away? The black dragon has medical death cult. The white dragon has back to business. And the blue dragon has a nation of fraudulence. Of course, being a play on nation of immigrants. So Uzalu is the tallest and most attractive man on the panel. So he gets to be the party leader tonight. We also joke about how it's dangerous to stroke his ego. So I do it overtly for funny. So, Mr. Uzalu, Mr. Uzalu, you are the party leader.
I'd like to lay doubt on the notion. I have not seen how Carnal Conservative looks in real life, so I have no idea if I deserve that praise, but I probably do.
You do.
Like fucking Tony Soprano.
Yeah, Frank, I'm sorry, Carnal Conservative looks a lot like Tony from The Sopranos. Not too tall, round, thick, and stocky, looks very Italian. Not to say he's an ugly man. He's not. He just looks Italian. And but Uzalu is a tall, thin drink of water with a nice beard, and he has a wizard hat. So
I would never drink water.
Yeah, only Monster.
Speaking of which,
Uzalu's not a goth girl. Wait a minute.
I think there's noise cancellation on StreamYard. So if you opened the can of Monster, I didn't think we heard it. Okay.
I have that turned off anyway, as far as I'm able to.
Also, for all of you stoners out there, happy 420. I know that means a lot to some of you.
Stoners?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Okay.
It's 420.
Oh, yeah. Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Yeah.
To no one in particular.
Happy art
Asmongold.
Day.
Is it Asmongold's birthday really on 420?
No, but somebody said that.
Oh.
It went viral.
That would be funny if that was true. I see
It
why
was
it
like a
went viral.
long
Yeah.
post. It
I
was
see
from
why.
Tectone. It was like a long post, and all the way at the end, it was just like "Happy Birthday." It was like this great leader of men, and then the end is "Happy Birthday, Asmongold."
Captain Corgi over on Rumble says he looks like Peter Griffin. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry. All right. Well, Uzalu, let's get this started. We have 5 things to talk about tonight. Would you like to choose the first topic, or do you want to have somebody else do it?
Goodness, such pressure. Is the Blue Dragon topic by any chance about Somalians?
It could be. It's Somalian adjacent. I'll put it that way.
Well, I don't know what it's about, but I'm kind of curious which you think is the fraudulent group.
Oh, it's not about what I think. It's about fraud, like real fraud.
I see.
If you want to choose that one, I'd be glad to get it started.
I don't have a strong preference, but I'm curious what that one is about. So go with that
All right.
one.
Well, then we will do that one first. Let us go now to just the news. Watchdog GAO estimates fraud costs taxpayers between $233 and $521 billion annually. The GAO warns that all federal programs and operations are at major risk of fraud. Local news outlets report that Minnesota alone, there's your Somalians, Uzalu, could be responsible for up to $9 billion.
Thanks, I know I put them somewhere.
Yeah. So this new federal watchdog group gave a warning across government programs that remains widespread, costly, and difficult to contain, with officials describing a system strained by complexity, fragmented oversight, and evolving criminal tactics. The report is from the U.S. Accountability Office, released April 15th, found that all federal programs and operations are at risk of fraud, underscoring vulnerabilities in programs administered jointly by federal and state governments. Testifying before lawmakers, GAO officials said the scale of the problem is staggering, and like we covered in the headline, between 233 and 521 billion annually. Quote from them, though these losses place an increased burden on government's financial outlook, and adding that the fraud erodes public trust in government. Yeah, well, among other things.
That's isn't that like a third to a half of the military budget?
Yes.
It's quite a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot of USD. The structure of many federal programs relies heavily on state agencies to administer benefits like Medicaid and unemployment. In the fiscal year of 2025 alone, the federal government distributed $1.2 trillion in grants to state and local governments. While that decentralized model allows programs to reach millions of Americans, auditors say it also creates gaps in oversight and coordination. Quote, the programs vary in size, but some, such as Medicaid, involve millions of beneficiaries. Decentralized program delivery, such as through distributed payment and eligibility decisions, can heighten the risk of fraud. Now, I'll save you the rest of this. It just goes over in detail all of the different ways that Medicaid, assistance programs, government grants are set up to work through different steps of federal offices, then to the state legislature of the states of the United States. Then they are the ones who have committees appointed who hire third parties that are not government in many cases to carry out work and service programs with federal money. And basically the report just found that so much is unaccounted for and so much needs to be audited. It's impossible to hire enough people to even do an audit of all of this money for a single year. So who knows how many billions of dollars in fraud is going on? I would guess that it's probably closer to this 500 number than this 233 number, just from what we know already goes on with all the fraud everywhere. That would be my guess. But let's see what the dragon has to say, which is this big boy. The blue with us tonight is old even by dragon standards and enjoys spending time learning of human worlds. He enjoys Earth because despite our diminished capacity for magic or other types of will working, we seem to have a potent talent for complex crime. He chose this story tonight to ask us this, and it comes to you first, Uzalu. What would it take to stop this level of mass fraud and for institutions to regain the respect necessary for a functional government or state again? What do you think?
Well, there's always going to be some amount of fraud. You can't look for the solution that will stop all of it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the time, like as an example I often give, seems an odd connection, but how was The Lord of the Rings made so well? Human passion, effort, dedication, actual will to do the right thing. Ultimately, that's what you need. You need a healthy nation to stop this from getting to the point that it's at. But how bad it gets makes it get worse. Because where's that fraud going? Is it just lining the pockets of some foreigners? Well, yes, but it's probably also going to others with different motives. Some of those motives are simply to expand the fraud, produce a culture, a society that encourages it more and increases the amount of fraud, because it's a brilliant place to get money. Big old government, lots of money in it, and no one's paying enough attention to prevent it in large scales. No one's paying as much attention as they used to be, perhaps, to prevent it in large scales. No one's looking very closely. And so it's a problem which gets worse as it gets worse, exponentially. But if you start trying to make it better, and you actually have a culture that pushes towards that hard, it can get better exponentially.
Oops, I didn't mean to click that one.
Yeah.
I meant to click this one. The purpose of the system is what it does.
Indeed.
Now, there is
Not
truth
always,
to that.
but there's
There
truth
is
to
truth
that,
to
yeah.
that. But I think that some of that is true with the way all of these systems work. But for managing countries that are complex and have millions of people, you actually need systems, and you have to have these systems, and they exist for a reason. I don't think it's just what it does. Government bureaucracies are so complex. I don't think it's just for fraud and wealth extraction.
Indeed.
I do think, however, in the last 60 to 70 years, it has tilted more towards that being the purpose than our governments used to be. So
Yeah.
I do think
Right.
there's more truth in
Well-
this statement than there once was. That's why I wanted to bring this up.
My sort of response to the dragon goes into that as well, which is that all systems are entropic. So no matter what system of government it is that you use, eventually parts of it will decay. The bureaucracy builds upon itself exponentially, and it becomes basically like once you create a job for someone to do, it becomes very difficult to eliminate that job as bureaucracy increases and complexifies. And then there's so many different heads of the Hydra, it doesn't matter how many you cut off. So unfortunately, it means some sort of revolution is typically like overthrowing the previous system of government in some way. It has to be kind of massive change to wipe the slate clean. And as long as people are comfortable, that will never happen, right? As long as people feel comfortable. So I'm not saying that's likely to happen, but it's typically in history what has happened when you've had a sort of wiping of the slate clean like that is when you get a chance to reform, for example, the formation of America, and why things worked out so well as they did for so long.
Yeah, and then of course those of us who are left in the shit, we will have to rebuild. And I do think that there is very little way out of this type of complex bureaucratic system. That's where the whole Julius Evola meme "Ride the Tiger" comes from. There's really not a lot most of us can do. Even if everyone listening to this right now had $5 million in liquid cash, and we could do with that whatever we wanted, there's really nothing we could do with our time or all of that money to fix this system, because it's contracts, it's organizations, it's agency, it's ethnic power blocks like the Chinese and the Jews and all these other people that have their hands in the pies of everything and push things one way and the other. People who own media conglomerates, people like the 500 richest families that are all part of the central banking cartel. Like, there's not really anything we can do about this system at this point. That's why promoting white well-being, networking together, preparing for the decline of the empire, that's what intelligent people should be doing with our time and money, is just, preparing to ride the tiger. I don't think it's going to be chaos in the streets and people murdering each other for food, but we are living in a declining empire where things are going to get steadily shittier, and hopefully one day we'll get somewhat better as the wealth extraction ceases, because we're all poor and there's no more wealth to take. And so the vultures either prey on each other or move elsewhere, and we have to deal with the fallout. But, this is how all big empires eventually seem to decay, as we have studied in the last several hundred years of history. So that's my take on that.
I
Carnal?
agree with a lot of that, but go on. You go first.
I was just going to say, Carnal, do you have anything to add?
I have three initial thoughts on this. One, the primary source of fraud in this nation is Congress. Two, you can't have organized crime without law and order. And three, it's just a fact of life that corruption is what gets the gears of bureaucracy turning, and we have become massively bureaucratic. And there's no way around that. And you honestly don't want to live at this point. You don't want to live in a world without that oil making those gears turn because they just fucking never will. But how to stop it entirely at this point, to the point where we actually have respect for the functional government and state, is both a massive reboot and religion. You need it's not good enough to say the system is broken and we need something better. You need to give people a moral backbone to say there's a reason to fix it.
So I agree with a lot of what you guys said there, but there is truth to the fact that once a system becomes complex and entropic in any system, it needs to be refreshed, started anew, essentially, in a way. That doesn't necessarily mean a revolution in the full sense of the term. It can mean a revolution of culture,
or technology,
or something else that leads people to just a different solution. And that's true. Like, it could end up being a total revolution. It could end up being a collapse before a rebirth. But I think that's why I said that once you start fixing it, it will fix faster and faster as you go along. But you got to start, because the way the world is organized right now, as corrupt and nasty as parts of it are, that is the stasis of the world. That's the state in which the world is currently organized, so that every little bit, every little networked component is relatively stable in its current state, as bad as things are. And they've worked into that state because of entropy. Now, the only solution is to find a new workable state, which means pushing past a lot of these barriers of expectations and norms and resolving into a new general stasis. And that's what I sort of have thought this right-wing populist movement is trying to find a new stasis, a new normal, a new pattern, and radically simplifying it as well. And I think it's made some progress, but it's a longer task, and it's probably still possible that we could do it peacefully, but if so, it will take some time. Violence is a distinct possibility on a large scale, as it's been for a while, but some sort of revolution, even if it's just a revolution in how we think and how we act, will probably be necessary. Yes.
Yeah. Well,
but
really
the world is changing so
No,
quickly in terms of technology. It's questionable whether we'll recognize society in 30 years even.
That's why I brought up technology. If we look back, I know that some people listening won't remember this, but I was alive in the 80s and 90s as a young person, and that world is completely unrecognizable to the world we have now. And I remember at the end of the 90s and the early aughts, when things started becoming more online connected, people started using, IRC and AIM, AOL Instant Messenger, AIM, and all that. It was weird because it was like science fiction was happening right in front of me. And then in less than 10 years, everything had changed: business, government, everything. And so that was a non-violent revolution. And that's why I brought up technology, is with artificial intelligence, with advancements in other types of technology, medical technology, communications technology, space travel, things like that. Who knows what the next 30 or 40 years will bring us? It might be radically different. Who knows what will happen? So again, that's why I recommend and just tell people what I did. Prepare for the worst and hope for the best, and just keep your head about you and make sensible choices and focus on what you can do in your small life to network and prepare to make sure you have friends and family and the people that you'll need when times get hard. And we'll survive. We'll get through it. It might be shitty for a while, but I don't think it's the end of the world coming or anything. It's just we're living in a shitty, declining empire.
I agree with that, but also what I have to step back and realize is, just because we advance technologically doesn't mean our morality or our systems or our society got better. It doesn't, just because we have increased technology does not mean that the future systems are going to be improved. That's my main caution when it comes to that level of optimism. The world's going to look different. It might not look better.
Well, no, what I said doesn't imply that it will be better. It's just that it will be different.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like, I don't like to make predictions about, because of this and this group and this happening now, things are going to be this way in 20 years. I can't say that because I don't think anyone can know that. We can speculate and we can be, either optimistic or pessimistic about certain outcomes and what certain power groups want to do to each other, and how we will all suffer in the crossfire. But no one can predict the future. It's not possible. And I don't like to get into that realm of prediction because I don't want to look like an asshole on the internet. And occasionally I don't.
And it's just, I'm always reminded it's a great paragraph from the end of Liberty or Equality, Eric von Knut-Leiden's book, where he talks about how you could never predict these things. If you asked a Roman at different points in time what their government would look like in 50 years, they may have given you all kinds of predictions of stability or change, and all of them would have been wrong. So if you just look at it from the lens of history, yeah, no one can really, you can make some educated guesses. It doesn't necessarily mean it will be better or worse, but I agree that it probably something's got to give.
And things are changing faster today than they were for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
but yes, it may be that the structures that we have been used to working for the last 100 or so years just aren't compatible with the technology we have today.
Yeah, or that we will have
in the very near future.
Because people change too. Like so many of the awful systems we have were ushered in by people who are now dead, and people who are over the age of 60 are the ones at the helm of so many of these systems, making bad, out of touch decisions. And so, that's why people joke about the day of the pillow coming. I do think that all of those people of old world thoughts that live in the anti-white narrative segment known as the boomer truth regime, I think those people are dying out, and we will have people around my age and your age coming to prominence and running systems, and things will be different. And again, that doesn't mean better. It means it will be different because people are different as well. So again, I wouldn't say I'm optimistic, but I'm not a doomer, black pillar, the sky is falling about all this stuff.
Yeah. Agreed.
So I think we've covered that pretty well. So let's look at paid chats. We had a total blackout painting over on Entropy. Oh, he came in for a whopping $25. Thank you so much, TBP.
Good lad.
Helping me keep the lights on here, brother. Thank you very much. He says with his $25, aloha Yiz. Great lineup for the stream. TBP's a fan of Aydin and Uzalu. The system as it stands, he says, is completely unsustainable. There will have to be a reset at some point. What that will look like remains yet to be seen. Probably something like suddenly one day for no reason at all. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know about that. All right. Thank you very much. And as a reminder, with that paid chat, I don't like to work for free. Neither do you. And I would greatly appreciate you sharing some of your hard-earned dollars with me for the stream. You can send in short messages on PayPal and Cash App, as well as over on Buy Me a Coffee. You can send in tips on Subscribestar if you're a subscriber. I also have access to rants on Rumble and hyper chats on Odyssey. And of course, the pinned comment in the chat is to Entropy. That's how I prefer to receive paid chats, because my guests, my supporters can say quite a bit for very few dollars over on Entropy. And I like being able to hear what the people who view have to say. So please consider supporting me through one of those channels. I would very much appreciate that. And if you really like the work I do, please consider supporting me monthly over on Subscribestar. I have many different tiers that you can subscribe to over there. All right. So with that, let's go back to the topics. We just did the Blue Dragon with a nation of fraudulence, which leaves 4 topics for the evening. The arms trade question, back to business. Should the gay stay away, and medical death cult? Uzalu, you're the leader. What'll be next?
Oh, I'm picking for all that. Well, I guess I'll delegate then. I didn't know that I'd be in charge for all of them.
Yeah. The party leader either chooses or nominates a party member to make the choice.
All right, I'll delegate to whoever in the party is the most like a bird.
Oh, okay, that will definitely be Aydin.
All right. Well,
all right, Bird,
well, I mean,
I
wouldn't have said so. I don't know. I don't have a particular opinion on that.
Am I Bird-like? I'm Bird-like, but I'm not really Bird.
I'm not sure if you count as part of the party, though. Yes, are you not
I don't. But
DM?
Because of the ambiguity, what's back to business?
Okay, that's the white dragon. You have to say white. You have to say white on my channel like Jared Taylor. It's a rule.
Hawkagen.
Hawkagen. I love how he says that in Japanese. It's great. Hawkagen. All right. Good old Jared Taylor. All right. Come on, OBS, work with me. There it goes. All right. The FBI director, Kash Patel, says arrests are coming related to the 2016 Russia probe. You remember that from 10 years ago?
Oh, yes.
A lot of people forgot about that.
Yeah.
All right. FBI Director Kash Patel said on Sunday that arrests are coming related to the Russia probe. Quote, "I'm never going to let this go," said Patel on Monday mornings with Maria, Fox News. Quote, "We have all the evidence. I can announce on your show that we've all the information we need. We're working with our prosecutors at the Department of Justice under AG Todd Blanche, and we are going to be making arrests. And it's coming. I promise. It's coming soon," he said desperately. The host, Mario Bartiromo, asked Patel if the FBI had evidence of election fraud in 2020 as well. Quote from Patel, "So what we are doing is folding that into our entire conspiracy case. But we have the information that backs President Trump's claim of the stolen election. But I would say stay tuned this week. You might see a thing or two." Now, that's all there is on this right now because this just happened yesterday.
Yeah.
So let's move now to the white dragon, Hwakaju, which is this old grizzled fella here. The white with us tonight has followed American political news for years now, and it's one of his favorite non-dragon subjects of interest. While he would like to see the corrupt anti-white monsters of our system face justice, he has his doubts, and so do I. The question comes to you, Aydin. Do you think this is just red meat for the base to smooth over the recent Iran blunders and will end up being a nothing burger like the Epstein files and the Charlie Kirk incident?
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, it's Kash Patel. So you're not even talking about like different people. This is the same guy.
Yeah, the same guy. That's why I named those two things. Yeah.
Yes, who fumbled both of those incidents. I mean, although you still hear some kind of weird stuff. I heard him also say something weird about the Charlie Kirk case not too long ago, but he just does this stuff where he floats stuff out, and it's exactly what I think the dragon suspects it is, which is that this is red meat. I mean, like, again, the United States hasn't made any arrests over the Epstein files.
Or the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Or the
Trump assassination attempt.
Yes, or any of it, really.
Yeah.
It's been a whole lot of nothing happening. But there's so very little sort of good news, I suppose, for the MAGA base. There's so little red meat for them.
We can be bees.
Yeah, we could be bees. Good news. Sorry, got distracted. Anyway, I didn't mean to pronounce it that way. It just came out that way. Anyway, sorry, I'm referencing a meme. There's so very little for them to kind of glom onto. And I see it on Twitter all the time with the massive coping regarding just looking for anything to be positive about right now with this, with the administration in the state that it is. And when you have had big letdowns, like the Epstein files, like, anyone seeing any accountability for Charlie Kirk.
Auden in chat says it's Q-style gaslighting.
It is. It really is. As these people are, and I just, I was going to shill at the end, but I just published a Substack article that I'll be turning into a video that goes over how this functions in that, for example, like during the Carter administration, people who voted for Jimmy Carter just tended to believe that the economy was always doing better. And the economy under Carter was abysmal than people who didn't vote for him. Because you have a vested interest in Trump, because you voted for him, that's an act of behavior that you've now committed to, often 3 times over, repeat behavior. It causes cognitive dissonance, psychological pain to have to deal with the fact that he's not doing the things you voted for, or he's not doing stuff that you want him to do. And so they basically just perceive the world fundamentally differently. And they'll look for little signs like this. I go over a bunch of examples across the literature in my article where they'll just glom onto any little thing they can find. And so that's exactly what Kash is doing. I highly doubt that anything will come from this.
Yeah, I have my doubts. But like I said earlier, I remain pessimistic, but hope for the best.
Yeah, I'd hope so. But yeah.
So, Carnal, Uzalu, what do you guys think on this one?
Gradually, I've been less and less pleased with the Trump admin since around the time of the Epstein files. I'm still not entirely sure whether he has information. Carnal, could you mute yourself when you're not talking? It's definitely you. Whether they actually have enough information to make arrests on. They might do, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was all scrubbed. So it may be that they are doing almost as much as they can with that, and there have been investigations. And so whilst I am disappointed and critical of the Trump admin, not as much as some people are. However, this probably is red meat, yes. However, again, how much would he have to do for this to not just be red meat? He'd have to arrest quite a lot of people. Yeah. But this was a big event, the 2020 election fraud, as well as the Russia hoax, all connected. It was a big event. If and this is a big if, and I don't think it's likely, if connections can be found to bigger people, you might be able to get some decent arrests done. And ultimately, if they do make any arrests, any at all, that are connected to something, it's good, but is it worth the effort? Is it a distraction from something more important? Is it the thing he should be working on? Not really. He'd have to do a lot here and make some big successes to convince me it's not red meat. And I don't think it's going to happen. Will there be arrests? Probably. Will there be really significant ones? Probably not.
Yeah, that's probably a realistic prediction.
I hope so, though. I'll stay hopeful, but doubtful.
Laku Taku in chat says, here's his Q theory. Trump is being poisoned, and that's why he's losing his mind, and also probably why he looks like he's aged 20 years.
Well, he's also, did you see all his crash outs yesterday on Truth Social?
No, but I heard about them. I haven't read any of them.
Oh,
what did he crash out about?
Well, first of all, he posted like 50 times in an hour. He was posting like every minute.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a crazy amount of posts, and they were just all over the place. I was doing things like posting Slipknot music videos. I mean, like just what?
Wow.
It was the other day. It was
wow, that's a blast from the past.
Yeah, very weird stuff that he was posting on Truth Social all day, basically, and posting erratically, extremely frequently. I don't know what that is. I mean, everyone just went.
Maybe his Zog microchip shortened out.
But I mean, the cope would of course be, an intern has gone rogue or something. But I don't know. It was just strange.
Jeez. Okay. Basically, my 2 cents on this is, of course, it's red meat. The idea that you can rile up your base to salivate over the idea of arresting. This is basically what Kash Patel's alluding to, but can't fucking say because he's, liable for all because he's a public figure. He's telling the base that there's a chance in the next couple weeks, or even this week, that they could arrest Obama or Hillary Clinton. Are you serious?
I doubt that.
Are you freaking serious? Yeah. No one believes it. No one actually thinks that could possibly be true. But you're just gonna float that in front of our noses? Like, come on, dude. Like, I'm getting sick. I was sick of the nothing ever happens bros for a while now, but in this case, they're probably right.
No, I mean, again, the nothing ever happens bros. They bat like 9 out of 10. Like,
yeah, it's safer to bet.
Look at the last 10 years.
Yeah,
it's mostly nothing.
It is
a little something
safer.
A little something
That's,
here and there, but mostly nothing.
I don't think that's an indicator of the a lamentable situation we're in. I think that's just what happens all the time anyway.
Yes,
most things that could be something aren't. And so there's a middle ground where there's a middle ground where you can talk about what something could be, hope for what it could be, and look at the possibility that it will happen as being low but not zero. Nothing ever happens takes that to an extreme, and it's right most of the time, but it's the times it's wrong, you're going to have inevitably missed it. And there have been times where something happened in the last 10 years. There have been times. So nothing ever happens is a very lazy way to be right most of the time, but you'll be wrong when it doesn't work out, when it's wrong.
Yeah, I don't think nothing ever happens is a very intelligent stance, because it's like saying something so trite and platonic that it doesn't matter. Like, obviously, nothing ever happens because people that are in positions of massive power, and I don't mean people we vote for, I mean real power, obviously, they're practically untouchable. That's what being an elite is. Obviously, nothing ever happens to them because nothing almost ever happens to people like that. It's people beneath them and functionaries and militaries and corporate drones. They're the ones that are the fall guys that always take the heat for all this shit, if they ever even do. So that, like, saying nothing ever happens is like saying time marches on, or there's more fish in the sea. It's that empty and hollow of a stance.
Yeah, my case in point is the idea that we're actually going to get the big names of, because we all know who's in charge of those files. We already know that it was signed off by Obama. We already know it was used by Hillary Clinton. We already know that it went through the Attorney General at the time. The idea that we're going to get these arrests is absurd.
Yeah. But, I mean, maybe we're wrong, but we're probably not wrong.
I don't think he's, to be fair to Mr. Patel, I don't think he's saying Obama and Hillary will be arrested. He's just saying arrests.
No.
Obviously, we'd like it to
that
be.
Is what
He's alluding
that's
to
what
that.
he's
It's the
alluding
signal,
to.
though.
He knows
I'm not-
what he's
I'm not
doing.
sure.
Lock her up. That was like
He-
that's one of those.
He would like
many-
people to hope for that, but I don't think he's even alluding to that. But they have been. They have got her in for questioning. Like the problem with this is either you go completely like outside the law with it, you just fucking murder them or whatever. Like a lot of people would like that, and maybe it would solve some problems. But the people, I don't think, are quite ready to request that on a large enough scale yet for a government to get away with it. So short of that, you have to do it by the book. And the reason that these elites are in their position is not just by happenstance. They happen to be the elites. No, they are exactly the ones with the sense to avoid evidence being left behind of their wrongdoing. So there is no evidence of their wrongdoing, probably. Or if there is, it's been scrubbed or hidden or paid off.
I'm going to slightly disagree with you. I think that the right wing in America would be more than happy to see things just happen to the Democratic elite side, because they have let shit they have been getting away with shit for far too long, while the right couldn't.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many of the US.
comeuppance.
I'm not sure how many of the US right-wing public would be okay with a sort of dictatorial approach to people that we suspect strongly and have good reason to believe
I think that
are
the vast
evil.
majority of people on our side would be.
A lot of them would be okay with it, but
Yeah.
I think that you want to be sure of that, because that's a big thing to do, and
I'm not
More
saying
the
it's a
people that
good
we
thing,
currently
I'm
have in
just-
office are not sure that that's what they need to do, or they maybe don't have the will to do that. They're not the people to do that. As we progress through this period of unrest, we will probably go through more and more radical options, and we may get to that point
And
if
more
we don't
dictatorial
find a better
power
solution
flexing, I think
before
we'll
then.
see. Because we're already seeing it in the UK, France, Germany. We're already seeing quite illiberal things being done in the name of this sham of liberalism. I think that trend will continue.
Yeah.
Yeah, inevitably, I think so too.
I think it will come to the point where the public do want it. They may already be there. I'm not sure exactly, but either way, there is not enough force of opinion that current politicians who are answering to the people in some sense feel that they can get away with it. But that may happen in the next decade or two. Maybe it would be better, but if we can find a peaceful way to do it, I'd prefer it. But if we can't, so be it.
Yeah. And also, Big O's has a point. There is no real right-wing party in any of our countries anymore. It's all
No.
some version of liberal shit libs.
Yes.
Or boomer tards.
Yes.
That is sort of true in practice, but I don't think it's because of straight up betrayal. It's because their job is to keep things stable as well. Ultimately, the ultimate goal of any civilization is stability first. When it comes time for some sort of revolution, it is only because that is the only option that will provide stability. Right now, though it is an unpleasant stability, we do still have stability, but we're running out of it. So any right-wing government that gets in, maybe they're lied to, maybe they're manipulated into thinking it, but if they see that doing what the people directly want would totally destabilize the nation, they're at least going to think twice about that. So it's not necessarily, you can't think of it just in terms of, we want you to do this, why aren't you doing it? There's loads of things they know that we don't, and that they can't really tell us for various reasons. And many things that we haven't considered that we could know.
We want their heads on pikes.
Yes.
Some of it is about that, yes, but some of it is just, if you do this, this will happen. And you don't want that to happen. It would be worse than not doing it. And as I said, the current status we have in the world is, to our eyes, very corrupt. But we don't have, right now, a better one to just slot in and replace it with that will keep everything stable as it is now. There's going to be a massive amount of unrest to arrive at one. And we have to be very sure that it's the right one. And I think maybe Trump could have had more courage to push those boundaries in a direction that would have been probably better. But it's a huge risk when you start messing with the structures that create stability like that. Even though I want someone to, I think it's necessary. This stability is not worth it and we don't have much left. We've got to come up with a different solution.
Yeah.
But I can understand the reluctance to just start pushing at it with the hubris to assume that you already have it.
Yeah.
Because you could do much more damage doing that than good.
But we'll have to see what happens. Again, history shows us that there is no fix to this complexity, that it will just fizzle out and fall apart and then balkanize. And like, that's what history shows us. But, you know, times are changing. Who knows? Who knows what we'll see? But I do think that when it comes to the article and the actual topic, I am like 99% sure this will be a nothing burger. And if there are arrests, it will just be a couple of guys in the FBI, like maybe that man and woman who were involved in the Pissgate bullshit. It might just be them, and it leads nowhere, if there's even any arrests at all. But so that's my take on it now. We'll see how this story evolves, and I'll definitely cover it as it unfolds on my channel. So let's go ahead now and move to the paid chats. And the only place that I can see any paid chats that came in was over on Entropy. $3 from Matt Bell. Oh, there's 2 from Matt Bell. $3 first. We'll do that because it's a shorter one. He says, "Hey ho, Israel, your puppet strings are pretty threadbare." Yeah, indeed. And then a big whopping $25 from Matt Bell as well. Oh, well, hold on. Entropy just logged me out. I hate it when it does that.
Rude.
Log back in. Entropy's been going through the ringer lately. The anti-white shitbags that lead Canada have come down hard on their business, and they've had to change servers and change banks in the last month. It's been rough for them. I feel bad for them.
Oh yeah, shit.
Yeah, it's been rough. So their service has been a little shaky lately because of all that. But I've received confirmation from the people who run it that that it is still a business and it will continue. They just are going through the ringer right now trying to fix things. Okay, it's back up and running now. Matt Bell sends also a whopping $25 like Total Blackout Painting did earlier. And he says, nice. Hey, it's amazing how clear my ex-shitlib daughter-in-law's thinking has become since the birth of her daughter. Well, congratulations to her. And he celebrates his granddaughter, Evelyn. Well, happy
congratulations.
Happy grandfatherhood to you, Mr. Matt Bell. That's definitely a thing worth celebrating.
Many such cases with that, though.
Some unease about that name.
Okay, move it. Let's keep that away. There's more to this. He says the future is bright, reality is revolutionary. I agree, and he ends with this question for your guests: if Aydin got involved with local politics, could she have more clout than I could as a mere subject of England?
No, I mean, one, I can. Personally, no. I mean, there's
that was probably half joking. I wouldn't take that too seriously.
Well, but one of the things that is quite based about Guernsey is that I could never become a citizen here, right? In any capacity.
Based Guernsey, don't let foreigners in.
I mean, you can become a permanent resident, but yeah, you can't get citizenship here. The only way you can be born with citizenship, and that's it. So, and it's not just being born on the island. You have to have a parent who is a Guern. Which is, I think, how most countries should probably run. But,
yeah, no kidding. Yeah. This anchor baby shit is stopping. I'm telling you that right now. No more of that crap. All right. So that completes the first 2 dragons of the evening. That was the white and the blue, which leaves red, green, and black, which is the arms trade question. Should the gays stay away and medical death cult? Uzalu, you're the party leader. What is next?
Well, I think it's about time I delegate to Carnal.
All right, Carnal, what'll it be, sir?
Should the gay stay away? I'm gonna do it.
All right, we're doing it. Here we go. The green dragon. All right, we now go to. Oh no, that's the wrong article. Where is it? There. Here we go. The first openly homosexual DC police union chairman arrested on child sex crimes. I'm sure no one saw that coming. No way.
Reset the clock.
Oh my god.
Post the ancient Simpsons meme of 0 days without blank. All right.
Oh my goodness.
An openly homosexual Washington, D.C. police lieutenant and union leader has been arrested on child sex crime charges after he attempted to meet a 15-year-old boy. Lieutenant Matt Mall, who previously served as chairman of the Metro Police Department Union, was arrested Tuesday in Hartford County, Maryland. He has been placed on administrative leave as the investigation continues. Mall faces charges related to child solicitation and possession of child pornography. The allegations in this case are extremely disturbing and in direct contrast to the values of the Metro PD. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. I don't care what they say. We know they lie. It's DC. According to a report by NBC4 Washington, Maul has been with the department for 23 years and was most recently assigned to special operations. He made history as the first openly homo. Yeah, we don't care about that. Charging documents allege that Maul communicated for several weeks with someone he believed to be a 15-year-old boy on Reddit, sending sexually explicit images and photos of himself. In reality, he was communicating with an undercover sheriff deputy. What do I tell you guys? It's the based sheriffs keeping shit going.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's the
Many such
sheriff's
cases,
department.
Yep.
indeed.
All these city cops, man, they're corrupt and often feckless. But man, it's the sheriffs in America really doing work. Authorities say that Maul used his real name during the exchanges and identified himself as a police lieutenant. He allegedly sent a photo of himself in uniform and acknowledged the risk of losing his career if caught. At one point, he requested sexually explicit images and arranged to meet the individual after school.
Jesus Christ.
When he arrived at the agreed upon location, that's when he was busted. All right. So.
This guy was begging to be caught.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Aren't they're always the geniuses.
Now, this beautiful fella here, this green, is known as a forest father.
Pretty.
This is beautiful artwork. He is a great druid who has his draconic spirit tied directly to the magic of the land. Definitely be a full green deck in your magic game.
Nice.
He teaches nature magic to other dragons and humanoids who seek to learn the craft. He enjoys learning about the ecologies of other complex societies, which is what led him to studying Earth. While there is reason to think that some deviance of romantic and sexual behavior is in a way natural at times, he definitely thinks those things are mostly unnatural in our society today. So that's what his question is about tonight, handling homosexuality in society. The question comes to you first, Carnal. How do you think homosexuality should be handled societally in regards to public acceptance and shame? Should being openly homosexual prevent a person from holding public office?
No, there's that meme going around that, around 1,500 species of animal can engage in sodomy, but only one of them has confused it with an act of affection.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
I mean, don't celebrate something that in another context is constituted as a war crime, please. And that's, there has been a major psyop that was undertaken from the late 70s onward, that when you discuss homosexuality, you are not allowed to discuss the mechanics of it. You're not allowed to question how exactly does that work. You're just supposed to believe that love is love. No, stop that, please. How should it be handled? It should be handled as a defect. You are a human being who is the byproduct of thousands of years of evolution, and it is your default to want to desire to at least pass on the gift of life and living. And in addition to doing this depraved act of trying to lure a 15-year-old, we have the grand exploitation of two gay men laughing at a surrogate infant for wanting its mother.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Yeah, that was disgusting.
Yeah.
Look, the pendulum needs to swing, and it needs to swing harder than it is now. Should being openly homosexual prevent a person from... Being openly homosexual should prevent you from walking out in the street. I mean, I don't want people being stoned, but this is not something you should be advertising.
Right. Like we talk about all the time. In the Christian belief, we don't think that you can eradicate sin and vice, but we do think that you should keep it marginalized and in the shadows where it belongs.
And that's exactly where it belongs. And the question is, well, where does it come from? Well, I don't know exactly where it came from, but I know that most of it came from someone else abusing another innocent person. And it should be treated that way. It should be treated as if it is a social contagion that was inflicted on another human being, because there's enough evidence to suggest that there's at least a correlation to that.
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember or not, but Newsfist and I did an Empire of Lies deep dive on parasites and infection could be linked to homosexuality, and that's how it spreads as well.
Yeah, I've seen some of the research on that.
Yeah, the fact that you can use an anti-parasitic to cure your homosexuality, there's actually a case.
It's
for
surprising that
is
there's actual
disturbing enough.
science on that. I was shocked.
Right. It sounds like some bullshit, but
It sounds like some bullshit you'd read on like a Q thread, but like there's actually science behind that.
It was originally popularized, as far as I know, from a green text.
Yeah, it was. That's true. That's where I first heard about it. But there's actual science about it now. But anyway, go on.
But what is strange is I was also living with a friend of mine for a while, or he was living with me, and we went through that back when we were far more agricultural. You would deworm yourself twice a year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But ever since we've been moving into the cities and that practice has kind of gone by the wayside, homosexuality has exploded along with the social contagion. Like we are surprised about the birth rate declining, in addition to not, properly taking care of ourselves and being told that, it's okay to, bum each other. It's like there is a cause and effect. Like there is no reason why any society who's looking out for its own welfare would promote this.
Yep.
It doesn't do anything positive for society in terms of growth, in terms of economics.
It's only
when I heard, when we were in the Liberalists, and someone told me that, like, well, homosexual couples contribute more to the GDP than straight couples. As soon as I heard that, I'm like, okay, however the fuck we're measuring GDP is fucked. That makes no goddamn sense.
Yeah,
it makes no goddamn sense.
It's easy to shut down the GDP argument because GDP is based on things that have no relation to the health and well-being of people.
Yes.
No, well, not only that, but it somehow, the way they measure it does not accurately portray how developing and raising a family is better for the economy in the long term than two people just wasting thousands upon thousands of dollars on shit that's going to die and degrade anyway. How can that be a good measurement of growth and prosperity? Even if the concept itself was actually legitimate, the metrics of measurement are obviously.
I need to reel you in
obvious.
here a bit. I appreciate your anti-homo diatribe, but let's move back to the questions here. Answer them directly, and let's move on.
It should be handled either personally, just keep it to yourself, and being openly should prevent you from walking outside the door. Like it's not. It is not a net good. People should look down on it. There should be vitriolic disgust. Like when there is a study that says when men see two men kissing, it's like they're looking at maggots.
Yes.
That's what it should. That's what it should represent in society, because the men are right.
So, last question: do you think that openly homosexual people should be denied public office?
Yes.
Okay. You have answered. Aydin, Uzalu, I'd like to hear what you two have to say on these questions.
Well, Aydin's biased on this one.
No, I agree though, is that like it should be handled with disgust. It is like observing maggots. Like people do have an inherent disgust towards homosexual behavior, with the exception of lesbians, but that's like that's also porn brain.
People have inherent repulsion to that too.
Yeah, but that's like, however, I think
people who are fucking goon caged, goon brained don't have a negative reaction to it. But
and I do think
people do.
I do think a lot of that too. Yeah, it's porn brain stuff, and there's some. Well, we get into the whole history of the porn industry and things like that. But no, it should absolutely come with public shame, and that does a lot of the work, more so than legislation does, honestly, because people do things that are illegal all the time. This is my more libertarian side speaking, but a lot of this will go away if it's just not socially acceptable. And it is a good example of that gay couple who, like, they're stuck in a couple years past before the woke stuff started to get put away, thinking, oh, we'll post this video. I mean, they're actors, I think, of the baby crying for its mother and them just laughing. Yeah. And the response to that overwhelmingly was revulsion, was disgust. And I think so much of this sort of fugue state that Western society was in for about a decade under the woke paradigm, everyone is sick of it. And people were expressing their natural proclivities and inherent feelings, which is that homosexuality is disgusting. It is unnatural. So of course it is disgusting to people on some level, and prevent someone from holding public office. Again, in the more libertarian side of things, if it were made, acceptable again to be disgusted by it, no one would vote for them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
I mostly
anything to add?
I mostly agree with Aydin, but I do have a few things to add. There's a reason that up until I think it was like the 70s in the UK, it was illegal to be homosexual. Carnal, can you mute yourself again, please? The lessons of the past often come through in traditions, and we've often forgotten why they are the lessons of the past. But they are problems that we solved a long time ago, and it's subtle. And it is right to occasionally revisit those problems and determine if maybe we don't need that tradition anymore, but usually we do. So there seems to be 3 causes, as far as I can tell, because it's very hard to determine it. This is not something that would be scientifically studied. 3 causes for homosexuality. The first one is the parasites, which is a very interesting theory. I think there's truth to that, which is probably why ivermectin was shut down so fast as well. Aside from the fact that it would actually cure COVID.
Actually, same with chloroquine. Speaking of chloroquine, is originally used as an anti-parasitic. That's been around for 600 years or something,
And then there's the second one is childhood abuse, which is obviously the big one that everyone talks about. And then the third one, unfortunately, I suspect, though I don't have evidence for it, it's not strong evidence, I suspect simply genetics, meaning that it will always be with us in some way. It will always be around somewhere. We'll always have to deal with it to some extent. My default starting point for any ideological question is libertarianism. But quickly, I will attend to what is best, what is right in practice on a large scale. And that's what you have to do. You have to mix the two. Which is more so what conservatism is about. On an individual level, we're talking purely from an individual rights perspective. There's not really a good justification for stopping homosexuality as long as someone is not actively pushing it on someone else, like physically. But from a collective perspective, yes, there is. A society will be a lot healthier if you do not have rampant homosexuality. And yes, it does spread by abuse and probably in other ways as well. Certainly among women, I think it spreads more socially than it does physically.
That's why the transgender fad saw like a 4 to 5 times increase in young female population because females are more susceptible to that kind of pressure manipulation.
All forms of degeneracy do spread like that. And the question of, is it better or worse that it exists? The problems of spreading STDs and of preventing childbirth, like reducing it, Carnal, your mic's open again, are both valid reasons to slow it down, but they're not even necessarily the main ones. Carnal, your mic is still open, and I can't mute you on this service either. And I can still hear some sort of background noise from you.
Huh. Interesting.
Every time you mute, it goes away.
Interesting.
So yes, those are 2 of the most important reasons, but they're not the only ones. There's strong correlation with homosexuality and particular politics, and there's strong correlation with homosexuality and, I'm afraid to say, pedophilia. Yep. So I would set that they should not hold public office, but I wouldn't necessarily say it should be a law, because I would agree with Aydin, we should have a society where we recognize it's just a disgusting thing. That if they want to do it when no one can see us and when no one can see it happening, well, then no one will catch them.
If I was Führer, I would make it a law.
Maybe. And society might be better if it was.
No one who is openly degenerate deserves a public office, because if you are openly degenerate, you are already showing a disinterest, and a selfish disinterest at that, to the well-being of the people you're supposed to represent.
There is certainly an argument for that. Certainly an argument for that. You might find, though, that the enforcement of that law does more harm than the law itself. But I'm not sure. There's an argument for it.
But that argument can be made about most laws, though, because like we talk about, oftentimes the problem is with corruption and the misuse of judicial power. And if they would actually use that power and enforce things responsibly, it would be good. But when they don't, it's bad. So,
I think there's always going to be misuse. And when there's misuse on something like murder, it's usually more obvious than when there's misuse on something that you cannot observe, and that the only thing you can, get as evidence is something that no one should observe. I think there's distinctions there to be made, especially when it's something that people feel disgust about. Who watches the watchers? I would want to be very careful about that.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think it shouldn't be necessary to make it a law as long as you have a culture that enforces against it. But you may get a better society if you had a law against it.
Yeah, that's true. I do think that there is always a cultural, quote, the people element. Like, even though I ascribe to elite theory, and I think that voting and democracy is mostly just a fake shit show to keep us stupefied. But I do think there is a give and take with the rulers and the ruled, where they need to keep each other in check. And when one gets too out of balance and has too much power, things go to shit. So I do think that there is a lot of truth to, we don't need laws as much as we need societal norms upheld by both the rulers and the ruled. And if that's the case, you don't need as many laws. But unfortunately, we don't live in that society anymore.
Yeah. I agree, though.
Well, I've talked enough on this subject. I don't have anything else to say. Did anybody have anything to add before we move on? That sounds like a no, so let's move to Matt Bell again. Oh, sorry. Did you have something, Carnal?
No, I said I'm good.
Okay, all right. $3, Matt Bell, back in again on Entropy. Thank you so much, Matt. He thanks Aydin. He says, thank you, Aydin. Normally mend both their, normality, I don't know this, MEAND. Normality meand, born there, of people from there. That is normal behavior of normal peoples throughout all places and times. Yeah, like it is normal. Like the anchor baby shit, letting immigrants have citizenship. That's a new evil that never used to exist. Like, I mean, the Roman Empire did that a little bit. That's why when it was falling apart. But like any normal, healthy society doesn't just allow foreigners to come in and set up shop and treat them like kin. That's just not a thing. It's just not a thing.
I mean, it is, again, except for the very end of the Roman Empire, it's largely unheard of.
Yeah.
And then what you can associate it with most, readily in history is an empire in collapse. So, I mean, that's what you get.
You'll like this comment, Uzalu. Oh, good to see you, Lomax. Welcome to the stream, friend. All right. I think...
Look, I don't know if Stomp can help it or not, but if he can, he should.
I think that... Well, I've talked about this many times on the stream and on other people's streams. I think that all types of deviation from the norm do tend to occur. Look at serial killers. Look at people who are born intersex like myself. Look at people who are born blind or deaf. Like, there are deviations from the norm that people can't do anything about. And I do think that there are people who are born with whatever the genetics and hormones and whatever happens to them in the womb and whatever chemicals they're exposed to when they're little or whatever the fuck. There are people who are deviant from the norm by nature, and there's nothing they can do about it. But that doesn't mean that you should celebrate them and act like it's cool to be this. That's harmful to society. But I don't think that every single homo or trans or deviant is because of societal factors. I think very oftentimes you will find, if you look at quote unquote true cases of all these things, there is a genetic or early developmental issue that the person had no choice in that leads some people to be that way. But I do think that is the minority of what we face with the giant plague of deviance today. I think most of them are because of just general decay of society, bad genetics, bad diet, abuse, absent fathers and mothers, all this, and the societal pressure to be a fucking deviant. Like, I think that's where most of the deviance comes from today. But I do think there is a small number who are naturally deviant.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough about that.
I mean, again, yes, it starts with that kind of stuff. There are people that do have this deviation. It's about the normalizing and therefore popularizing.
It reminds me of the interview I did on your channel talking about how the alphabet mafia wanted to weaponize me as a poster child for all the transgender lunacy.
Well, yeah, they were trying to do that for a long time. But look at the population that's intersex. But that's how it starts. I mean, you can't.
And remember, what about all the rape babies? We need abortion legal for that, even though it's like 0.02% of all abortions are for that. Like, it's ridiculous.
I think,
and even in states where it's banned, most of them still allow for those exceptions. Yeah,
exactly.
I think most
not all of them do, actually.
Is it
'Cause
because you
even
can't?
my state, who is one of the staunchest against
Yeah.
abortion, they have always allowed it for
Yes.
forced
Yes.
cases. They've always allowed for that.
There were a couple, though,
Yeah.
or maybe just one I remember seeing where they don't actually allow those exceptions, which I think is maybe a bit far.
I wonder where that would be.
Maybe.
Maybe
There were.
maybe like
I remember that
Montana
case
or
in
something?
Indiana. There was a case in Indiana, but it was very complicated, and it actually was like involved. I remember that case was used very commonly as an example. Or I don't know if that's what you're talking about or not, but that
I
was a
think
case
so.
where like the child was being abused by the parents, and it was an incest baby too. Is all kinds of weird shit, and they were trying to go across state lines. Anyway, I think that what we all concluded there, though, is that you are not going to be able to stop some people who are naturally deviant from doing this stuff.
Right.
You can
That's why you
discourage
just
it, though.
discourage it from being
Yep.
open, and you keep it in the shadows and keep it quiet where it belongs. I think that's how we should handle all vice: prostitution, drugs, heavy drinking, being a
Yep.
homosexual, being a crossdresser, being transgender, whatever the fuck. That stuff, I think some people are going to be like that no matter what you do. So you just have to minimize it, minimize
Yep.
the exposure to children, minimize the exposure and relevance to society, and just keep it in the shadows and keep it in the red light district where it belongs, and just go about your business. I think that's the most responsible way to handle that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree. Any kind of deviation from the norm is generally a bad thing, but it is also the place where most innovation is going to come from. So you have to attenuate how much you suppress it with how much damage it does and how likely it is to produce useful innovation. And unfortunately, there is no time, and evolution's telling us this in exactly the same way you just said, Yes, there is no deviation that actually happens that is completely useless for some kind of innovation, or at least it converges towards there being none.
I agree with
But
Uzalu on
it's
that
minimal
point,
in some cases.
but it is because that they are oppressed that they become that way.
But that's exactly what I
It's
mean.
because that
Yes.
they're-
You
yeah.
force them to
It's
make it
because-
useful, to make it worth existing.
They have to justify their existence
Yes.
despite their dysfunction. That's what generates their intelligence and the drive forward. Gays today being made today without any need to justify themselves are the weakest people I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, I had to counsel some of those people when I used to do volunteer work, and these people who make their entire identities about being homosexual or transgender or whatever the fuck they call it, they are just empty, vacuous husks that want an identity and they latch onto that. And these people are the dregs of society. Like, I talk about this a lot too. There are many people alive today who exist that nature would not allow to exist. We've basically bulldozed out of the way every barrier to survival possible and spend hundreds of billions of US dollars incentivizing the people with the worst genetics and the worst behavioral traits to procreate. And then when they do, they steal money from us to feed them, educate them, and get them jobs. And so then they procreate and make even worse people. So it's like, again, I'm not like a hardline eugenics person. It's like we need to just round up and kill these people. I'm just telling you the facts of the society we live in. Is people who shouldn't be breeding are extant in massive, complex numbers that we're going to have to deal with one day. Like, eventually the spigot will turn off, whether willingly or or the resources dry up, and then nature will sort itself out, and those people will all die out and go away because they have no mind and will of their own, and they have no skills to offer society. So I feel like that a lot of the quote unquote homo dregs of today wouldn't have been homo in a different society, but they still would have been useless dregs anyway.
Possibly, yeah. I think autists also face this same challenge. Most variation evolution throws out will fail, but some will succeed. Anyone who's autistic is on that road, is going to have to find a way to make it successful, to make it work. A particular combination.
So.
But this is all, like you mentioned earlier, the Roman Empire is also, when it was collapsing, also when you found this kind of degeneracy, but almost no other time in history on this kind of scale.
Correct.
Well,
yeah.
I think the reason it's not just because it's a collapsing empire, it's because it's an empire that did too well. It got too far ahead of everyone else.
Oh, absolutely.
Evolution doesn't like the lack of competition that promotes.
And if you've read the Elric of Melniboné fantasy fiction stuff, that was the society that Elric came from, is they became too powerful, too great in magic, too decadent, and then they all just sort of withered away to selfish degeneracy, and then everything fell apart.
I think that is the pattern that evolution, one way or another, through a lot of different factors, ultimately enforces. There has to be competition all the time.
Ooh, you don't see this word very often. Cambion. A lot of Cambions masquerading as human. Good word usage there, Double O Severed. And I'm proud of Double O Severed for being a non-white who follows me. I believe he is Middle Eastern, and he supports me. So that's cool. He's my token Arab in the chat, or whatever the fuck he is. I don't remember. But anyway,
Nice.
let's see. We have 2 topics left, but we have something in from Captain Corgi over on Rumble, sharing 50 cockin' dollars. Thank you, Captain Corgi.
Nice.
For his 50 big bucks. He says, what upset me the most about the trans fad was that it targeted white kids as a means to find acceptance within the rainbow mafia and the intersectional world, which would otherwise demonize them for being white. Absolutely. Like in the pro-white community, we talk about this a lot, about how all of the feminisms and homosexuals and hypersexuality and all that, it always is through an anti-white lens, because all of this stuff was created and injected into our society by non-white, anti-white groups who wanted to weaken us and destroy us. Like every single time. Look at homosexuality, feminism, all this is almost 100% led by, funded by, and concocted by anti-white Ashkenazi Jews, usually communists as well. So it definitely has a strong anti-white bias at origin. All right. I'm glad 007 is amused by my rhetoric. I like you here. You know what they say. Racists are the most open and accepting people around. You just have to be racist as well.
Yeah, that's all they ask.
All right. So we have 2 topics left: the arms trade question and medical death cult. So, Uzalu, would you like to have one for yourself, or would you like to nominate a party member?
I'm out of party members to nominate.
Well, you can nominate someone again if you like.
That's true. Are we just doing, is it just 2 more in total, or are there 3?
Yeah, it's the red and the black. Just the arms trade question and medical death cult.
All right. Party. What are you feeling?
Scrum. What's technically your turn?
Oh, so you want to lay all the decision making on me?
You're the leader.
Well,
You're
okay, medical death
woman,
cult it
so
is.
fair
That's a
enough.
good choice.
There we
That's
go.
good.
Wow,
Okay,
let's
medical
go.
death cult it is. Very good. Right.
Excellent. Good job, Uzalu.
All right, here we go. This comes
I
from
don't
the
remember taking that.
Mises. This comes from the Mises Institute of all places. Assisted suicide is the logical outcome of government-controlled healthcare. Christianity Today recently published an article by Christy Etheridge that was very critical of Canada's MAID program, something that would not be surprising given the magazine's evangelical Christian outlook on the issues. The article, again, not surprisingly, dealt mostly with how many Christian groups, and especially the Roman Catholic Church, have spoken out against MAID. And I'll skip what they wrote because it doesn't matter. Promoters of assisted suicide always couch their arguments in the language of compassion for those suffering from terminal illnesses. And 11 U.S. states also permit assisted suicide, all of them except for Montana being dominated by the Democratic Party. And Montana is very libertarian, that's why. This practice has always been couched in the language of death with dignity, and it generally has strong support from the political left, although the hard left socialist publication Jacobin recently had an article by Jeremy Apple critical by Jeremy Apple critical of the circumstances under which some Canadians choose suicide. I think it means being critical of or criticizing. That's odd copy there. I don't know why I wrote that. This is the quote I wanted to read. Now remember, this is from a lefty. This is from a lefty socialist from Jacobin. Yeah, check this out. The legalization of MAID has brought to the fore some disturbing moral calculations, particularly with its expansion in 2019 to include individuals whose deaths are not reasonably foreseeable. This change opened the floodgates for people with disabilities to apply to die rather than survive on meager benefits. Again, continuing the quote from the socialist. I've come to realize that euthanasia in Canada represents the cynical endgame of social provisioning within the brutal logic of late-stage capitalism. There's that commie phrase again. Will starve you of the funding you need to live a dignified life, demand you pay back pandemic aid you applied for in good faith, and if you don't like it, why don't you just kill yourself? The problem with my previous perspective was that it held individual choices as sacrosanct. But people don't make individual decisions in a vacuum. They're the product of social circumstances and are often out of their control. Now, going back to the article on Mises. It's not surprising to see Jacobin blaming capitalism for something, but socialists go by the mindset that says if something is bad, it's the fault of capitalism, since socialism produces only happy results, right? But Apple is not wrong in pointing out that what began as a way to ostensibly end the suffering of terminally ill people has become a program responsible for 1 in 20 Canadian deaths in the last year, with more than 100,000 people killed by the MAID program since it began a decade ago, as Canada's government did away with the requirements that only those with terminal illnesses can request MAID. Indeed, the government is happy to recommend MAID to people for a variety of reasons. An 84-year-old woman who visited Vancouver emergency room with back pain was offered MAID by the attending physician, a Jeep probably. A suggestion the woman, of course, turned down. The government is even expanding its program to cover people with mental illnesses, including veterans who experience PTSD.
Oh, that's not going to make it skyrocket and, you know.
So I found this article very interesting because occasionally those of us on the left and right do agree on things, and this, I think, could be one of them. So now let's go to the Black Dragon. And of course, since this is a death topic, it's the big necromancer dragon. I'm sure that some of my loyal followers expected this dragon for this topic. Again, this looks like art that could be on a black magic card, doesn't it, Carnal?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, it does.
All right, so here we go with the Black Dragon. The Black with us tonight is a great necromancer who holds many respectable titles among draconic magisters. He learned of Earth through a friend and became fascinated with how closely the behavior of our world's leaders and systems resembles great sacrifice rituals and dark magic. So his question tonight is this, and it comes to the party because no one made a choice. Do you think our society will have a death fad phase similar to the transgender fad phase that ruined millions of lives? How dire do you think death assistance is? Like, societally speaking, of course, that's implied. So anybody can take this first. Go ahead.
I would be quite concerned about this. One, because yes, you have social contagion effects. That's present with anything. So it could become a fad. And you have to understand that within given social networks, and I mean that not just online, but I mean like traditional social networks, groups of people that know each other. For example, we know from the seminal work from Christakis and Fowler, 2009, that obesity is one thing that spreads extremely, is extremely related to social networking. So like if you're friends with someone who's fat, your risk of being fat increases like by 10% a year, right? There's things like that just because it's seen as socially acceptable, even if it's, and anorexia is the same thing. You can have the antithesis of that as well. And then when you're also combining that with the declining status of Western nations, where people can't afford homes, people can't afford to have families, people can't afford anything, then it will also start to look like, well, I guess, and particularly when the government is encouraging it as like, oh, this is good for the environment, you get that kind of messaging too. I think as people feel desperate or as they are socially pressured to do so. Yeah, already I'm shocked by those numbers, that being 1 in 20. That's crazy. And that probably, again, as conditions worsen, you will see some of that. And it will be probably touted socially in a way as like, yeah, this is a good thing for the environment. There's no way you can dig your way out of the hole that you're in. And, you know, I'm someone who's suffered with like suicidal ideation my whole life, like since I was a teenager. And had this been available to me, I would have probably done it, you know?
Yeah, I think a lot of young people, like this is one of those things that I think preys on the not fully deformed psyche and emotions. And remember, full cephalization doesn't happen until the mid to late 20s anyway. So this program being offered to people who are either 16 or 18, when I think the age for MAID is 16, or is it 16 or 18? Somebody check me on that. It's either 16 or 18 is the self-determinate MAID age in Canada.
It's unbelievable.
It's disgusting. Like, and remember
how many 16-year-olds are suicidal?
How frequently it's offered by medical personnel is staggering. Staggering. But
so,
anyway.
Despite my tendencies towards optimism, I don't have a lot to offer to Canada. It looks like this MAID program, it's hard to see it as anything other than a slightly subtle genocide. And I think the people that would want it are countries which are full of third world people, namely the BRICS countries.
Oh, wait.
Particularly.
I have a video for this.
It's you.
I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
particularly China and
India. Probably.
another one in mind. India, yes.
Yeah.
China, India. Israel's involvement, sure, quite possibly. I don't know. But China and India would have more of a vested interest in that. And Malthusians
Yes.
together, of which there are many, unfortunately, who are that insane as to think that less people is just better for the world, except if they're brown. There may well be motives specifically of anti-whiteness in there. I don't think it's necessarily required to explain the phenomenon, but it's very possible. That combination is it has been pushing along with globalism. Parts of globalism are natural, though regrettable, but that aspect has been very much aligned with it. Has been pushing along with it for a long time. And in Canada, they have found their greatest success in several areas, I think. So if you're Canadian, they have tried to whittle you down to the point that you are so depressed that you would rather die. And that is better for some people in the world, not for anyone in your country, except
Certainly
those
not
who
you or your
shouldn't be
family.
there. Yeah. And
not you.
as someone in chat mentioned, it's trying to be, they're trying to push it through in the UK as well. It's already happening in a lot of Europe. The UK has been slightly slower to accept it than a lot of Europe. And it's been turned down here a lot of times in the past. But it might well happen. And if it does, as much as I think euthanasia in the best of cases is morally acceptable, I don't think it should be legally acceptable because of this risk.
Yes, exactly. Like if somebody wants to check out,
if it's
like
implemented, it will be
choice.
turned to genocide.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think in a lot of ways it already is. Like, look at 1 in 20 deaths in Canada in the last 10 years has been made. 1 in 20. Think about that. 1 in 20 dead people was government funded, government assisted self-termination.
Now, I'm sure a lot of those were.
Some of them would have killed themselves anyway, but not all of them.
Some of them would have, but I also think that a lot of it is, like you said, the anti-whiteism element you can't really take out of this because of how punished, shamed, jobless, no career options, so many white people being raised thinking that they're lesser or bad just for the state of existence. That harbors horrific levels of depression and just crippling hopelessness. And then how many young people, like everybody here who's old now, you remember how high you had highs and lows of emotions as a teenager. Many of us were angsty. Many of us had suicidal thoughts. And if you have the whole world against you, the government against you, and it says, hey, here's a safe, painless way out, take it. How many thousands or hundreds of thousands of young people, white people, would take that pill? And the answer, sadly, is a lot of them. And so you can't, and like Uzalu said, since everything's become so muddied with this anti-white crap, you can't really take that off the table and say it's not part of white erasure, of biological white erasure or genocide. It definitely seems like it's targeting us, doesn't it?
Not exactly what I said, but close.
Yeah. So when this whole thing kicked off, before it became legal, I'm pretty sure he said this, so I'm going to repeat it. Me and Ardent had a big knockdown drag out about it. And of course he was in favor at the time, saying that it was, a compassionate thing, and that, there are situations where you could justify it being a compassionate, well-handled, regulated thing. And he compared it, ironically, to the abortion argument of, well, we as reasonable people can say that, for extreme cases, this is a reasonable recourse. And I had to stop him and go, Arden, as a conservative, I have to look at how things affect the world societally. And just like abortion, I promise you, regardless of whatever they say the intent is, we started the impetus of abortion with safe, legal, and rare. And now it's whoever, whenever, up until birth sometimes. And I promise you, this will be just as bad, if not worse.
And I'd like to point out the slippery slope remains the undefeated 4chan champion.
Yeah, it's not a fallacy; it's a fact.
Yeah.
There's a confusion with that term. The slippery slope fallacy definitely exists. It is a logical fallacy. It's not talking about the wider political effect. But the slippery slope and the wider political effect, I don't think is a necessary feature. It's just definitely true today because subversive forces want to widen any opportunity they can find. You could, hypothetically, have a society with sensible levels of euthanasia and sensible levels of abortion. Whatever we would all consider sensible. Some of us would consider 0 to be sensible, but some of us would at least, even if they do,
No,
be open
Uzalu
to
said
a tiny bit
hypothetical,
being.
Carnal. So I
It
agree
is.
with Uzalu in this situation. Hypothetically,
Theoretically,
it's possible. Yeah.
But if there's an opportunity for someone, if they can only widen that hole, that void, there's an opportunity for someone. If they can do so, then it will happen. There'll be a convergence towards it, and the more money there is in it, hypothetically or eventually, conceivably, the more force is going to be widening it. And right now, there's a lot of money in clearing Canada's occupants out and replacing them with people who don't have a lot of space left in their own country, China and India. Exactly. There's a lot of money in that. Fuckloads of money in that, especially being right next to the US as well. So it's not necessary that things we've observed sliding down a slippery slope today always would. There are things probably, none come to mind, but I'm sure we could think of something where it's a policy that hasn't really moved in the last 20, 30 years, something that we wouldn't even think of, but that in some other time might be
like taxes or something.
Well, I don't know. I mean, they do move, but there probably is something that we could think of that has moved less, at least, than we would expect if it was on the slippery slope, if the society was different.
I don't know, man. Like, I look at news about American law all the time, and everything, rape, murder, child molestation, like for the last
all the big
years,
ones.
It's been trending for that to be less and less and less prosecuted, especially when it's non-white perpetrators. Like, again, I think this is all part of a narco-tyranny. Like, it is terrorizing the rightful host population, aka the whites in this case, and specifically to raise hostility against us, the host population, by lessening crime, letting criminals go. And like, you look at, like, especially like a divorce court, marriage court stuff, it's horrifically anti-male, just like the other stuff is anti-white we talk about sometimes. But when it comes to breaking up families, letting shitbag mothers take kids, ruin men's lives, that has only become worse. And like, it's really hard to find anything that isn't slippery slope.
I don't think I disagree with anything you just said, but I'm not sure how it relates, because I'm not, like, there are things that are, but I mean, I'm sure we could find something that isn't. It's something that you wouldn't even think of, something non-controversial, specifically because it's non-controversial. And that's my point. Yes, things gradually get worse, but hypothetically, not everything necessarily does. Even with entropy, you'd think most things would, and then they do. But there probably is something that doesn't. So all I'm saying is slippery slope is not, except for the fact of entropy, it's not necessary that everything always gets worse all the time. There are blips where they go up sometimes, or blips where they stay, periods where they stay the same. It's not a necessary feature, but it's a general trend because of entropy. And it's not a fallacy to point out when a slippery slope logical fallacy is being used. It's an important distinction, and it bothers me that people mistake that.
I was just talking about the meme. I don't know about what you're talking about.
Indeed. The logical fallacy is to say that because A, therefore B, simply because B is worse, essentially, to put it simply. And that logically does not follow, but in reality, it often is the case, especially today, as entropy, if you want to put it that way, is accelerating. But don't mistake that when people say that's a logical fallacy, that they're saying, no, the slippery slope's not true, things are getting better. That's not what they're saying. And if they are saying that, then address what they're saying, not the fallacy aspect. That's a totally different topic. It just has the same name.
Well, I mean, when it comes to the practical application of these conversations, the alternative is not, well, let's find a reasonable middle ground. The alternative is just, no, let's as a society treat life as sacred and leave it at that. That's the alternative solution. And saying that anything worse than that, anything more liberal than that or less liberal than that is, shall we say, antithetical to liberalism or whatever, is just nonsense. You should just stick to what has been tried and true in Western civilization, which is life is sacred. Simple as.
You and I would word it differently, but I don't think we broadly disagree there. I don't think anything I said disagrees with that.
Well, let's move away from the slippery slope fallacy. I'm sorry, I didn't mean for that to cause a spurg. That's my fault. I own responsibility for that. But
No, it wasn't you.
Let's talk about the impact on society. Do you think that there will be a death fad like there's been a homo and trans fad? Do you think that will become a thing? Like it will be cool on social media to medically check out? Like, do you think that'll become a fad for a decade and millions of people kill themselves? Do you think it will get that bad?
I think they're
In
trying.
some places, it may do. Yeah,
They're trying really hard. They've made several Netflix promotions of suicide. I don't see it, and we've also the thing why they can't really advertise it as well as they want to is because it's going to be a clear pattern of, hey, we trans these people, now they want to off themselves. Even if
Oh,
they
that
wanted
part's
to
coming
push
for
it,
sure,
Yeah, that
by the
part.
way.
Yeah, for
even
sure.
if that was true and the fad was real, they couldn't advertise it as for what it was. And even if they did, everyone else would know what it was. Does that make sense? I don't
Yeah,
think there's a
I hear what
good
you're saying. Yeah.
marketing strategy for that, even if it happened.
I think that it's very likely if it becomes ingrained in all of the Western countries' governments for this medical assisted government suicide shit, I absolutely think it will be weaponized and pushed, just like we're seeing in Canada, to cause millions of deaths, specifically European/white people deaths. Like,
Yeah.
and I think that it is very, like we talked about previously. It being institutional is the problem. I don't have a problem with somebody willfully checking out when it makes sense. I think that's a fine decision. Terminal cancer, you have this kind of problem, whatever. But I don't think it should be government assisted. It shouldn't come from a bureaucracy, because then, like we all know, it will be worse and be misused and mishandled and cause more harm than good. But I don't think that it is. I don't think it's immoral to allow people to check out under certain circumstances, just like the safe, legal, and rare rape baby abortion thing that we all mostly agree on. You know, that level of rarity and specific cases, I think, is acceptable. But we all know that's not how it will turn out when the government handles it. We all know that.
Exactly.
Well, that's all I have to say on that. You guys want to move on? Sounds like we're
I'm
moving
good.
on then. All right. We have one Dargan left. And what Dargan is that? It's the red with the arms trade question. Now, as party leader, Uzalu, there's one choice to make. Who do you want to respond to this one? Do you want it to be you?
I don't mind. It's the longest since I've done it, so sure.
All righty, here we go. Feds arrest Iranian-born woman who allegedly helped Iran traffic drones, bombs, and ammunition to Sudan. This woman became a permanent resident of the U.S. in 2016, was arrested on Saturday in L.A. International Airport. Her name is Shamim Mafi. She's 44, of Woodland Hills, California, charged with the violation of 50 USC, whatever code it is, for brokering the sale of drones, bombs, bomb fuses, and millions of rounds of ammunition manufactured by Iran and sold to Sudan. Very interesting. Now, here's pictures of her. She lives a very glam life. She posts a lot of pictures of herself. And here we go. Feds arrest Iranian woman last night at LAX before she was about to get on a flight to Turkey. She apparently brokered. Let's see if these will go. Does it work? It'd be nice if it'll show the pictures. I can't zoom in on the site. I thought maybe we could pop them open. Yeah, here, let's have a look. Here she is being arrested. Here is supposedly what she is connected to and what they confiscated. Or not confiscated from her, but where the things were being held that she was moving. And then here's all the money. Now, this is a news story, so I don't exactly know what will come of this, but I will keep my eyes open for it. So currently, this is all there is to the story. She's been arrested, and this is the headline. Now, the red dragon. The red with us tonight, excuse me, is from a bellicose clan of reds who spearhead the Great Dragon Empire's expansion efforts. Weapons trade is just as important in the Dragon Empire as it is on Earth, and the United States is the world's greatest arms dealer without compare. His question tonight is about acceptable versus unacceptable arms trade, and it comes to you first, Uzalu. If you believe in the right to bear arms, on what moral and ethical grounds do you stand against people you don't like utilizing that right to trade arms with each other?
On the grounds of the distinction between individual importance and collective importance, different priorities, a nation must concern itself with both. I've had many people wish for a nation that is just leaves them alone. But if it was willing to do that to everyone, it would not be able to function. And you are benefiting from your nation not being a different nation whenever you're in it. So you're already part of that collective anyway. That's the line of distinction. If I were to believe entirely in libertarian principled values, it would be stupid to apply that on the level of the entire nation. You would still have strong borders. And in fact, I believe that I'm not completely libertarian, but if I was, you would need strong borders to protect that. It's a system that only really works with high trust.
That's very Hoppian of you to say that. Papa Hoppa would agree.
I don't know who that is, but you need strong borders to enforce
yourself a
a system
libertarian.
with
You don't
freedom.
know who Papa Hoppa is. Come on.
No, I don't call myself a libertarian, and I don't.
Right.
I
still
said
don't know
that
who
in
that is.
jest, Uzalu. I said that
Okay.
in jest. I know you
Listen,
don't.
he
I know
can't
you don't.
read. We both know that.
No, I won't read, but also can't. But yeah, you need a strong outer shell to protect the gooey inner bits. And that's the point at which I would make that distinction. If you have individual liberty within a nation, you can't necessarily guarantee that you'll have that across the nation's bounds. A nation is much like an individual, but on a larger scale. It has to look after itself. And sometimes how it does that is not great for the individuals within that nation, but you better have a nation. You better have a structure like that. You'll be much worse off without one. You'll have no individual liberties if you don't have that protection.
Okay.
My only counter to that is, yeah, I absolutely believe in the right to bear arms. The only problem with it is, and this is kind of unrelated to the story, but related more to the question, is that it's also a spook. The idea that in the modern day, the American people, any random American being able to own any number of firearms, whether it ranges from a Barrett 50 cal to, I mean, in Vegas, you can own a tank with certain permissions and things like that.
There's a guy who owns a tank that lives down the road from us.
There you go. Is it functional? I mean, but yeah, there's all kinds of things you can
legally,
still own.
no, it isn't. Don't come looking.
Don't come look. And in those haulers, I know what you get.
Yeah.
That being said, though,
just stay away. It's dangerous.
People would be able to, if it came down to a true, on the ground civil war. If you look at least what's happened in the past, when the U.S. government decides that they want to take your firearms, they will take your firearms. Even if it ends up with a prolonged situation of conflict or between them, eventually the Waco or Ruby Ridge. At the end of the day, the U.S. government or any modern government will take your firearms. So against people that I don't like utilizing that right to trade arms with each other, whether or not I like or any of us like anyone is completely irrelevant to the considerations whatsoever. It's just that for the most part, people's ability to own arms individually is a spook as it stands against being able to defend yourself against government tyranny. So whatever, people can, as long as they're, I guess, doing everything legally, I have absolutely no problem with people trading guns to whomever they like.
Just to clarify, this question is not about the story. I use the story as a launch point because when I read the story, this idea came to me as a good conversation question. The woman is definitely guilty of crime.
Right. Like
she was trafficking massive amounts of war material through our.
It's a little different.
I think I may have interpreted your question in the sort of context of aiding foreign nations. But if you're talking broadly in general, if it's within a nation. I think that the way the US is set up, you although I don't necessarily think it's best for every nation, the US has that right and it makes sense to stick with it. So yeah, there should be very few restrictions on that kind of thing. However, the way you solve the various problems that might lead to, or most of them, is to bring it back, stronger borders. Only let people in who actually participate in that high trust society. The whole idea of everyone owning guns only makes sense, in my opinion, if you have majority high trust people in any given area. And there are many areas in the US where you don't have majority high trust people. You have majority gang members who shoot each other all the time. See most American big cities. As far as I understand, having not been to any, as far as I understand, for every American that's told me about that, that is the consequences of giving everyone guns and then not controlling who is part of everyone.
Mm-hmm.
The US model, probably more so than most countries, requires careful control of who is part of the country.
Yeah, and that's why I think things have gone off the rails, because our country is not our people anymore, and all of these millions and millions of people who aren't us are being given legal rights that were shaped by and for us. Again, I know this sounds very ugly in the modern world, but I don't think that the legal rights that heritage Americans deserve should be afforded to foreigners by default. I'm not saying that we can't love and extend those rights to our beloved rooftop Koreans or whatever, but I don't think by default foreigners should have our rights when they are here, whether legally or otherwise, because they aren't us. They aren't cut from the same cloth. They don't have the same moral and genetic imperatives or sensations that we do about things. And that means legally and even morally or ethically, you could say, they can't be held to the same accord. And so that's why I don't think that our legal rights should extend to others, just for us, with exception, of course.
I think I agree with you, Yiz,
Yeah.
except I don't think the question is a question of rights. I think that's a question of citizenship. And we need to be far more selective with that process.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I also thought it was an interesting question to ask, because the United States, while facilitating both above board and below board international weapons trade, also on the surface does the most interfering with weapons trade of other countries, because it's the military global hegemon. And I think that it's very hypocritical of the United States to do that. But how else could a hegemony function? And I thought it was a very interesting ethical moral quandary of, if we, for us, believe in the right to bear arms, the right to self-defense, the right to organize ourselves into militias for the well-being of our local people, and we truly deeply believe that it is every man's right here to, if that means guns or plasma cannons or drones or tanks, we believe we have the right to have those things. It's very hypocritical for the people who champion those rights out of one side of their mouths to, under the table, trade guns to Africa and India and Iran and all these other places around the world. And then out of the other side of their mouth, be like, oh, these people can't do that because we don't like them this week because of war disputes and political stuff. So we're going to act like them trading arms is a bad thing. And then 6 months from now, when it's not big in the news, yeah, we'll go right back to selling them tanks and guns and helicopters and shit. Like, I find the military grade weapons trade a very disgusting, unethical, nasty business. Unfortunately, it's also a necessary one. And again, it always reminds me of that cool Lord of War movie with Nick Cage. That's a very good look at the ugly, morally gray underbelly of the U.S. hegemony. That is unfortunately a necessary element of it all. And I just thought maybe that could lead to some fun conversation with you guys about what you think and how you feel about it.
Yeah, I didn't. I'd never seen the Lord of War movie.
Sorry, go on, Aydin.
No, actually, I'm sorry. I hadn't seen that Lord of War movie until recently. Did you actually play that? Yes, with us?
I think I played it in Cabal.
Yeah, I watched it with Cabal
right,
last time you
that
guys
was when I first seen it.
I saw that movie when it came out, and it's been one of my favorite Cage movies for years, and I have it in my collection. It's a great movie.
You know, Yiz, now that we've had this conversation, I think we should start initiatives, start planting the seeds of the idea that we start selling arms back to Britain.
Man,
they look like they need it.
They certainly do for what's coming. I hope old Rupert Lowe arms his loyals and you guys take back your fucking country.
Amen.
You actually would be surprised when people own firearms here.
No, I'm not surprised at people who own firearms. I'm surprised at how they own so few and so puny firearms. I want every king and queen loving loyal Brit to be armed to the teeth with body armor and multiple machine guns and grenade launchers and shit like that. I want them to have attack drones. Like, I want everybody I like to be armed to the teeth and know how to use it.
And to be fair, Aydin is in Guernsey. I don't think the average Guernseyan is comparable to the average citizen in Westminster.
No. I by here I meant the British Isles broadly. Farmers own firearms. There's a lot of people who do clay pigeon shooting who can own firearms. It's not the complete and utter cuckery that I think the Americans believe it to be. It's not good either, but it's not as bad as I think it's portrayed.
You still need more.
Well, lady and gentlemen, I think that we have now come to the end of the discussion, which means it's glorious treasure time.
Way, let's go.
Yeah. Now, before we get to that, I want to make sure that we don't have any more paid chats that came through. I don't have any notifications on my phone, but I will still check anyway because sometimes those don't show up correctly. Okay, nothing there, and no new entropys. All right, we are good to go. Okay, so tonight I just have a few memes and then a short funny video to watch. So that's what we will be doing to close out the stream. But before we do that, why don't we have us a good shill? Uzalu, most of my viewers probably know who you are at this point, but in case people listening don't, why don't you give us a good shill while I share your link in the chat? Would you like me to share your link to the Discord or something else?
Good question. I'm not sure. The link you've got in the description right now, I believe the Twitter redirect link. But it just cuck.shortfatataku.com will get you to the Discord server. I'll probably be there after the stream. I also do politics streams occasionally, and they are usually the main place I do them is on the Discord, but they're also on YouTube as well. As Yes is linked to. Thank you, Yes. I'm also started doing a show with Aydin on her new channel as well, which I'm sure she'll in a sec. And that'll do. I mean, the main place I stream is Discord, and you can also find my streams on loads of places. Like it's on Kick, it's on Rumble, a few other places, just to make sure that it can't be censored from everywhere at once.
Very good, very good. And Uzalu was a lot of fun. I have oftentimes invited people to come hang out in Cabal. It is a mixed bag of people. You will probably find people there you like and people you hate, but it's definitely an interesting time. And if you are an internet weirdo autist like us, you will probably have a good time in the server. I highly recommend it. And of course, Uzalu's great, has great charisma, and he's smart. So what's not to like? Aydin, you have a new channel, and it's very interesting. Give us a shill, my dear.
I do. It's Science Civil, spelled SIBYL, which is the rather than I think the name spelling, that is the spelling of like the Sibylline prophecies, or a Sibyl, which is a figure in Greek myth, sort of pseudo mythology.
You're talking about this Cybele, that Sibyl?
SIBYL, yeah, which might mess up SEO, or maybe it'd be good for it because it is something that's uniquely spelled. But yeah, I think once a week, I think so, Uz and I will be doing streams on there that will be related predominantly to science and technology stuff, and not so much politics. Politics will enter into it inevitably to some extent, I'm sure. I have 2 new videos that I'm working on simultaneous. One that'll be for Aydin Paladin, which if you would like to get the preview of that on my Substack, I have just published essentially what will be turned into that video. It's about how the very act of voting causes partisanship, and that in terms causes people to make really ridiculous decisions in order to avoid cognitive dissonance, which is a form of psychological pain. That'll be on Aydin Paladin. And then the one I'm working on for Science Civil, we just did a stream on yesterday, Uzalu and I did, or in part, I talked about it a little bit, which is on sex differences in spatial cognition, which is that women just, you ever wondered like why women can't park a car or figure out directions? Well, it's not just, I don't know, like some sort of sexist construct or something. It has to do with actual differences in gray and white matter in women and men's brains. I'll be going over that.
Highlight Dissident Night. The correct Sybil is, of course, the female cop from Silent Hill.
Yeah, well,
Nice.
she was certainly very hot, Sybil, indeed. So yeah, that's a new channel, but I'll still be posting on Aydin Paladin, and then of course I've got Broken Crown every Wednesday at 7:30 now BST. Yeah, that's all
Also
my
in the
shilling.
chat, we seem to have a new viewer recommended by Kizza. I hope you had a good time, friend. I hope you come back.
Oh, hell yeah.
All right, Mr. Carnal, anything you want to shill tonight, sir?
I actually have plenty. I'm streaming Fallout New Vegas, but in addition to that, I am also the Shade Master. I run a tabletop RPG that is based off of Magic the Gathering. And the all of the things are ready. We have character sheets for Roll20 that will automate your rolls. We have spells that are being published, and basically, I have a program that will let me translate entire Magic the Gathering card sets. Your creatures, your spells, your instant sorceries, artifacts, all of that stuff can just be just translated. So I'm going to be making source books and extra material for spells and whatnot. That's all down the pipeline. So I'm excited. Look at the shadesofminion.com where you can actually buy it in PDF form now for $10. The whole thing. So
Great. That's great. Definitely check that out. Drive through RPG or somewhere else?
no, I'm using Gumroad.
Oh,
Where
Gumroad.
I
Okay, cool.
literally just
I have some friends
upload
that use Gumroad.
I just Yeah, I just upload a PDF, put it on my website, and boom, it's done. Does it work with TMNT? It's
Wondering
I have
Panda.
to do it.
That means that's
Yeah,
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
yes. No, I know what it means. I'm disappointed, but
Oh,
in any case, um, I actually like the set. I did a draft night where I made a burn deck out of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle set. We did a draft, and
oh, really?
I did a
Okay. I
burn
didn't know
deck
you
out
would
of
have
the
that.
cards that
Okay,
I pulled.
interesting.
And
Interesting.
so
Okay.
this was it- converting these cards into their own into a new Dungeons and Dragons like setting is a whole other beast. So how everything mixes and mashes together is wildly different, but it is Magic the Gathering on tabletop. Everyone who's sampled it, who's played Magic, understands how it works almost instantly, and people who haven't played Magic, um, it's the best system for playing a spellcaster that anyone's ever played. So I'm getting good reviews.
Yeah,
I just need to get a group together, and that's always a pain.
and me and Carnal had a fictional convocation stream about his game last year, and you can find that on my channel where we go into detail about his setting and talk about his mechanics and stuff. It's pretty interesting. All right, so
Yeah,
I thought you were done. Sorry. Go ahead.
it's just one more thing. The all of the shorts that are going on my Shade Master channel are spell templates. So you get a little brief AI video of what the spell looks like, and it's basic stats. So
Oh, that's cool.
just cool stuff.
Very cool. Very cool indeed. All right. So let's look at some memes and then get out of here. What do you say, fellas? Let's do it. All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
First up, we have this is a contribution from Merlin. Merlin is the autist that used to be in Cabal. He and I are pretty good friends now. And he shared this with me, and I thought this was pretty funny. The all-seeing eye has seen enough. So I wanted to share that tonight. And then, of course, this is also for my buddy Merlin, if he's watching, because we love Seinfeld. This is a fun question from Ask Biology Reddit. Why aren't there different types of humans? I don't know if this is the right place for this question, but why are there different types of humans? With other animals like birds, we have different types, like blackbirds and owls and whatnot. They're both birds, but they're different. Yes, the forbidden question.
Boy, you have asked the forbidden question indeed, Jer.
Yes, the forbidden question. And then we have, this is for you, Kizza. I know that, is it Pramata? Is that the new
Pragmata,
game? Yeah.
I
It
want
looks
to play
interesting.
it. It
I
looks
haven't
really
played it.
cute.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
cute, and of course, I've seen the backlash, and I've listened to the V videos about it. But this had the Doom meme guy
Oh,
with the chibi little thing that Kizza has shared many memes of with
oh,
me. So when I saw this meme, I of course thought of our good friend Kizza and wanted to make sure he saw it tonight. And good thing is he just popped up earlier in the chat. So Kizza, this is for you, buddy. Enjoy.
you just didn't double check the background though.
And then here's another one. Oh, wait. What do you mean I didn't
What
check the background?
was it?
You didn't check
Background
the
thing?
background of that meme, did you?
Oh
Uh,
no, I
look
didn't.
behind.
Oh no,
What is that? It's this guy
That's
eating an ice cream cone.
it's Tucker
What's...
from Full Metal Alchemist. You don't want to
It's
know.
Full Metal Alchemist.
You don't want to know.
The kind
Okay, all right.
If you don't know,
wanna
you don't want to know.
I watched Full Metal Alchemist a long time ago, and I remember liking it, but I don't remember that.
Remember the
character.
guy who transmuted his daughter with his dog?
Oh, I do remember
Yeah.
that. That was so sad.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do remember that. Why is he in this picture? I don't get it. What's
Because
the joke?
it's good father-daughter relationships and then very bad father-daughter relationships.
That's great. That's wonderful. I hate that I missed
Oh.
that. That's wonderful. I rewatched that episode maybe 3 weeks ago. Merlin and a bunch of us, we watch anime in honor of our friend Jen, who recently died, who was big into anime.
Aw.
And so we have Jen's anime church. Yeah, he died young and unexpectedly. He was only like 40 or 42, didn't weigh much more than he did in high school, apparently in decent health. He just killed over dead at his computer from a massive heart attack. Nobody saw
Oh
it
my
coming.
god.
Yeah, it's very sad. But
Oh.
he used to host anime for us a lot. And so now we have Jen's anime church. And one of the things we recently watched a few weeks ago for Jen's anime church was the first few episodes of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. And that's what these characters are from. Very sad episode. But that's a good catch. Thank you for noticing that. I didn't even notice that. I dismissed it. Thank you so much. Next up, we have...
How did Giz not bring that in?
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I
no,
miss,
no, I
I
didn't
miss
notice
stuff
it.
sometimes. I can't see everything.
I didn't see it.
This is good. You killed the man, not the idea. This is pretty good. I like this one.
Yes. Have a children.
Have a children to do.
Nice.
And love the Hawkagen. All right. I like this one. You know how they have the meme about how when men write women, they're like she
Nice.
feminine down the stairs boobily, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But this is the 40K version. He hammered across the room 40,000ly.
Excellent.
Yes.
People living normal lives, liberals.
Unfortunately.
That's legit.
I like this one. Sir, can we help you? No, I work here.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I hope Trump never gets to live this down. Especially
he-
because he bold-faced lied about it. He fucking knew that portrayed him as Jesus. He knew.
Yeah, okay.
He knew. Like,
Come on.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not new to Trump being a liar. I knew
Right.
he was a liar from the very beginning and warned people about it. But
yeah.
But
But come
this
on.
fucking Jesus meme shit. Oh my god, I can't believe it. Just so
Yeah,
so
1-800,
out-of-touch.
come on
Like
now.
he's like the Hulk Hogan of politics. It's terrible.
Yeah.
And this, of course,
Yeah.
is a
Oh
gem.
my god, yeah. That's your culture.
This is a visual one. I can't
Oh.
explain this one, but if you get it, you get it, and it's
Oh.
pretty fucking good. Next, we have
Oh.
Leo Frank. That black man murdered the white woman. Go after him. The KKK. I like the little Africa hat on the.
Perfect.
It's so good, so good. And then we have
Oh.
hey man, remember earlier how you talked about removing accountability, like how Trump is like a woman with no
Yep.
accountability.
Yeah.
This is a meme for you that I told you to remember that comment for. How do you write Indians so well? I think of a Jew and take away subtlety and 30 IQ points.
I mean, it's so true.
And I always like to end on a George Floyd meme I haven't seen. And my friend Josh from Virginia shared this with me in my meme channel. He named one of his soldiers George Floyd, killed by dying breath.
Oh, wow. Appropriate.
Yeah. All right. So we have come to the end. And in honor of Uzalu being here, he might know what I'm about to show. But for those of you who haven't seen it, and that's many of you in the
Oh my
chat who
God.
haven't seen it, you need to see this. This
Yes,
is the
yes,
real
yes.
George Floyd meme that I want to end the
Let's
stream with.
go.
Enjoy.
Yes.
Oi, das ist ja Ramigada. Lucky. Nanta Darinada Rama. Sendure Maro. Kiramashi Sendure Morida. Yodereba. Arega Cracker Asuruki Daramano. Nani? Torre Becatara Moshutusta Cara Becatara Matochoto. Good Daramatar, Fentaner. Oh my Darakacha, stand us through. Take my breath through. Arway. I can't breathe.
The thing that perpetually makes me enjoy that so much more than anything else about it is that about like a third of the Japanese in it is right, and the rest is utter
And the rest is
gibberish.
just nonsense. It's great. Yeah, I love it. Like the more I've been watching anime lately, the more I'm starting to understand the flow and the sound of Japanese. And like
yeah,
most of that is just mushmouth fake Japanese. It's so
but there's real words in it, so
There
it
are,
just
yeah.
mixed in and outside of the English part. It's such a good meme.
Well, like always, the sister stream to this one is American Spirits on the Old Glory Club channel. But because of scheduling issues with the guest, for about another hour and a half. So American Spirits is not on immediately after this stream tonight. It'll be about an hour and a half. I shared the link in the chat. Thank you to all you lovelies for being here, to all of you who share my streams and try to invite more people. And of course, thank you to all of you lovelies who share your hard-earned dollars with me. It means so much. It really does. Thank you very much. And of course, a big thank you to all of my wonderful guests tonight, Uzalu, Aydin Paladin, Carnal Conservative. I had a wonderful time with you guys, and you're definitely all welcome back again one day. Any closing thoughts or anything you want to say before we bow out here?
No, other than thanks for having me.
All righty. Well,
We are pleasure.
we are now headed over to Cabal, right, Uzalu?
Yes.
Uzalu, hello.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Did we lose him?
What
Where's the
happened?
wizard?
Did he
Well,
die?
Something might have happened. But regardless, we're going to Cabal. Come with us now. Good
All right.
night, everyone.
All right.
Good